Hello. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany. Welcome to my quilting life. Today is Sunday. So Sunday, whereas you can tell I have a lot to sew. I hope you do too. So you can sew with me. Yay. Okay. Anyways, happy Easter, everybody. I'm hopping around. I'm the bunny.
Show me shirt.
I'm the bunny today, and I'm going to be quilting with my peeps. Actually, I'm going to be binding with my peeps. But you know, they don't have a shirt that says binding with my peeps. I mean, anyways, so today is a binding day. And before I do binding, I'm just going to do this right here because I have it in my hand. I'm going to see who's here. No, I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. We got Kim here, Christine, Rena, Lori, Donna, Justine, Kelly, Dawn, Terry, Sally, Karen, Kathy, Susan, McBev, Karen, Kathy, Melody, Gigi Quilts, Teresa Louise I Quilt 2, Judy, Linda, Carol, Joan, Ruth, JK, Kim, Marna, Antio Handmade, Ray, Teresa, and Terry and Jenny, and many, many, many more. Welcome, everybody, to Binding Day. So I've been a busy little bee. I have lots of jobs to do, but I needed a weekend to myself, not having a job. I didn't want to do any jobs this weekend. I wanted to just do my own thing at my own speed, at my own time, at my own pace, you know, that kind of thing. So I decided to finish a bunch of table runners, wall hangings, and 2 larger size quilts. I was trying to get this one behind me done, but you know, the weekend is over almost, and it's almost the end of today, so I didn't get that one done, but maybe I'll throw it on this week after I do a job or two, because I got to get those done as well. So I have lots of things I will show you that I have been up to. So I need to bind 2 of these. They're exactly the same. So 2 table runners that look like this. I made these 2 while I was on a Zoom retreat at Becca's Zoom retreat for Sew Becca, and that's the back. And the binding is going to be the same as the backing fabric on both of these. So I quilted those, and then they have binding ready. And then with my scraps from this, I made this little table runner. Or table topper, I don't know. It's a little thing. It's gonna go with this big one that's a wall hanging that I made, and I custom embroidered a hummingbird on it. So these are just the scraps left over from what's behind me with a lovely hummingbird on it, and the back of both of them are the brown color that Scott can turn it around and show you. They're just brown flowers. So I had fun with that. I even trapuntoed the hummingbird in here, so there's extra batting underneath that. So that was fun, very fun, because I'm not used to the embroidery machine with extra batting underneath it. So I was like, what's going on here? It's trying to pucker. Oh no, I did something wrong. But I eventually figured it out. Then also while I was on that Zoom thing, the weekend retreat with Becca, I managed to make this wall hanging or table topper, whatever it wants to be. So there's that, and that's scraps from another project, that rose quilt that I did. I think that was a Sew Sunday project, and then the back is just plain black, and the binding will be just plain black for that. Then I finished the jar, the jelly. I just named it the jam quilt because it had the jam jars on it for canning. So I finished this one. This was from a Sew Sunday. No, it doesn't need to be. If you guys remember, this is like a couple Sew Sundays back. So there was that one, and then this one has a rose backing, but I'm going to bind it with maroon because it matches, but I didn't have any of this fabric right here, or else I would have bound it in that, and I didn't have no more writing fabric because I used all that up too. So I just found something that matched color coordinated wise with the back and the front for that binding. I'm going to stick that way over there because we'll work on that one. And then last but not least, Scott's going to help hold this up with me. We did this a while back last year. It's the Geese Gone Wild. Oops, that's Geese Gone Wild quilt. I finally quilted it up. It's enormous. It's 90 by 90. So that's the Geese Gone Wild quilt. And it is quilted with a pinkish purple color called tea berry. It looks super awesome in the black areas. And then the back is just a plain gray because it matched, the gray colors that are in the sparkly on the glitter of the fabric. And this one is getting bound with its leftover fabrics that I didn't use making the quilt. So that is what I am doing today, is all that. And I'm going to start with the little ones. And I have all this thread ready for the big ones. I'm going to move out of the way. And we're going to start with white because that's what's loaded. So I'm just going to move black out of the way. Oh, yeah. And we're also going to run a giveaway while we're live today for Scotty's going to hold that up, or I'll hold it up. We're just going to give away this right here. It's free shipping in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., sorry, we can't ship it to you for free. So if you win and you're outside the U.S., let us know, and you could pay for your shipping. So the giveaway has started. I guess I don't remember what the thingamabobber is. It's explanation gift. Explanation gift. That's what it is. No space in between. Just the exclamation mark, GIFT. All one thing. No space. So while that is running, we'll put that back out of the way. It's Easter themed. We're going to start with these two quilts. Yep, I have been so busy. Eventually, there's a lot to do, though. All right, so I have lots of binding, enough for 2 with these. So let me find an end somewhere. There it is, right there. And I'm going to bind these 2 table runners first, and then I'll move on and do white projects still, because I have white thread inside the bobbin. I'm going to try to make sure that no seam lands in a corner, because I don't like it when my seams land in the corner. All right, where is my seam guide? It's on that machine. Can you lift up that cover case on that machine and give me my seam guide off of it? Do you see it?
It's not on here. Oh, nope, there it is. You have it way over. It must have moved when we moved it. Here it is.
I found it. Okay, good.
Oh, I would have got it.
Sorry, guys. I can't sew straight, especially with binding, and I'm back on my TL 2010Q, and I used my Juki HCL F600 all week. Let's just say that was crazy. All right. Let's bring this down, find that seam. Okay, that'll land there. Perfect. And stitch this on. And all the binding for all of these quilts are 2.5 inches. I didn't bother with anything smaller or anything like that. I just did 2.5 inches. I'm also going to be adding tags to all these quilts so that I don't have to sign them, because some of them have dark fabric on the back, and so I won't need to be signing them, but I'm going to add them to the bottom corners. And we're also going to change my stitch length, because I do this really fast like. Get this tag in here.
Which machine do you like the most?
I like the TL 2010Q the most. Yeah. Nothing beats my TL 2010Q. It's a straight stitch. There's nothing to worry about when it comes to buttons or anything like that. You know, I mean, there's a needle up and down and a thread cutting button, but I don't use the needle up and down and really very often. And I definitely use the thread cutter on the foot pedal, not on the actual,
What
huh?
What stitch length do you do for binding?
2.5-ish. My machine doesn't have slot dashes to know, so it's in between the 2 and the 3. So it could be 2.4, or it could be 2.6. It could be 2.5 and be right on. Somewhere near there. Oops, I'm going to go back a stitch. One stitch back. Yeah. I like this one the best because there's no computerized. I don't have to adjust the needle to where it's supposed to sit because it's always in the center. I don't need to change my feet out for different stitches. I just keep the same sewing foot on the whole entire time. You know, that kind of thing. I guess I'm spoiled with what I like. Maybe that's why I have 2 of these machines. This is like probably the quickest part of the quilting or making a quilt process that I do is binding. Although I'm pretty quick with a jelly roll race too. Like the whole entire quilt. Oh man, oh it's right at the edge, but not in the corner, so that's a good thing. One more stitch. Lost my foot pedal. There it is. Yeah, this is probably the easiest part of quilting. Everyone always says, what's your favorite part of making a quilt? I don't have a favorite part. I like every single part. But what's my fastest part? That would be this. Come down to line it up right about there. We're going to line this up. I'm going to find the other end because I'm just going to use this as my gauge of where I need to cut. I started pretty far back on this one. I'm just opening my binding so I know how big it is, like this. I'm going to flatly lay this top one over it. If I don't pull it away, well, make sure it's nice and flat. Grab some scissors and cut only the top one. Right there. I need to fix that though because it went a little wonky. Save that for the next one. Sew these 2 ends together on the diagonal because it's so simple. I always change my stitch length because the pieced part, I don't want it to come apart. So that's a 2.0.
Will you hand stitch the front?
I do not hand stitch to the front. No, I machine stitch the whole entire binding. I tried to hand stitch binding the other day on something else and I got frustrated, so I did it by machine. I am not good with hand stitching. Let's just say that. I don't even, yeah. It was one of those things, like, I can't do it. But I'm going to have to learn eventually. That way, you know, some things can get finished that way. All right, so there's one on. We're going to put the other one on, and then we'll stitch around to the front on both of them. And I'm going to pre-stitch this tag on here where I want it real quick. And then bring this up here. I'm going to find that seam. Put it about right there. Sometimes they land in different spots, which is okay. If you line things up with a seam guide, you can continuously sew. Which is kind of fun to do. Just keep the foot and the pedal going down. Oops, back one. How's everybody's Easter going so far? Is a lot of you spending time with family or friends? This morning we went to church and had brunch with a friend, and then came home, took a nap, and then I worked on the embroidery machine the rest of the day until now.
Show us again how you hold the material to keep it straight.
Hold the material to keep it straight. Like, you mean when I'm stitching like this, when I'm stitching continuously, I just stick it through my finger. So it goes over and over the first finger like this. And then the whole quilt goes under my middle, on top of my middle finger. And then I use my first and second finger to align things. Sometimes I don't have to, like I could pull from the end as well. I'm not pulling or tugging, I'm just holding it straight. That's pretty much all I'm doing. Last corner here. It's a fairly easy trick to master. Didn't take me long. As soon as I had a seam guide, I was able to do it like every time. When I first started quilting, I didn't know there was a seam guide. But after a while, I learned that there was such a thing. All right, so I'm going to trim that off right here. I'm going to use this as my width. I'm going to bring this down on top of it. and only cut this top layer. All right, there. And there's my 2 scraps. See, I made just enough binding for 2. It's perfect.
What seam allowance are you using?
Seam allowance, 1/4 inch. I always use a 1/4 inch seam when I'm attaching binding. And 90% of the time I use a 2.5 inch binding. But there are those rare occasions where I use a 2 1/4 inch binding. Never really any less, unless the project, is like super tiny and I have, to be super tiny about things. Then I'll put the binding on a different way though. All right, now to stitch to the front. This part goes quick too. I actually have a video on my channel dedicated to binding. 3 different ways that other people do it, and or me, or, just different ways you can learn how to do it. Oops. You choose
have
what.
Many videos of binding.
Yeah, I have many videos of binding, yeah. I choose to do it on Sundays. Yes, I made the little wall hanging that we're giving away. Yep. That is with the scraps from another quilt that I made a while back. But I could not bear to throw away the little pieces because I loved the fabric so much, and it's one of those, it's not in print anymore, so there was no way to get more of it.
Do you ever use 2 colors to make a flange binding?
Yes, I do make flange binding. Just not today.
You have videos on it.
But I have a video on flange binding. Or more than one. I've done it on mini quilts. Just not today's quilts. This looks so adorable with this binding. Sometimes I just like to use leftover back fabric as the binding. But this one wasn't leftover. I actually had to cut strips from the bolt for this. But a lot of times I can get it from, like if I cut big pieces of backing fabric, and I always have enough left on the bottom or the sides to do binding. Come on. Oh, there we go. Mitered corner. That one does not want to lay properly.
How big is the table matter?
This is like 49 inches, I think, by 14, something like that. They're pretty long. Oh, come on. My fingers are not having it today right here in this
Do
corner.
you prefer to buy fabric by the bolt or buy what you need?
I prefer to buy bolts of background fabric because I don't need any other fabrics. I'm not drowning in fabric, but I have so many choices that all I ever need to do is buy backgrounds. Maybe when I deplete the piles that I have, then I could buy more, but eventually in the future, I plan to just buy by project, not by over excessive amounts like I was doing in the beginning. It depends on if it's on sale, yes.
If there's a sale at Walmart, we got it for both.
If it's on sale at Walmart, yes, we do. We buy the whole entire bolt. And if there's a sale, like a Fat Quarter Shop in the sales section, again, same thing. If it's under a certain amount a yard, or like at Marshall Dry Goods or at Missouri Star, we will buy all of it, whatever's left. Joann's is the same. When we would go to Joann's, we buy the rest of whatever. Because you actually get a deal if you buy the end of the bolt too. All right. One down. Bunch more to go. And just because you guys were asking, I'm pretty sure it was 49 because I just quilted these. 6, 7, 38, 39, 40, 41, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 48. It's 48 by 14 and a half. Yeah, 14 and a half. I knew it was something like that. So there's one. Just like that. And my tag is right here.
Yeah, the person just asked.
The tags just say Tiffany's Quilting Life, made with love, Tiffany Groff. I kind of just kept it simple with the tags this time. I usually put something on both sides of it, but this time I didn't. Yeah, these two are quilted exactly the same also because of the same exact thing. So I was like, since I have them both on the long arm at the same exact time, I might as well quilt the same exact thing on both of them. They're over-exaggerated loop-de-loops. Because why not? This binding is landing like almost perfect with these little white dots running along the edge. It's great. Oh, it's starting to go away from the edge now that I'm on another piece.
Can you sew the front and back binding all at once?
Can I sew the front and back binding all at once? You can if you do folded in half, like you fold the two sides in and then you fold it in half and then you like clamp it on, put it on like this and then sew the whole thing all at once. Yeah, you can do that. I did that a few times in the beginning because I didn't know. And I didn't know how to do the corners of those either. Like I would get so confused. So I started doing it this way, which is how I saw on the internet when I found out that YouTube had videos. And this way became easier for me.
What needle size do you use in your tube?
This is a 9014 is my needle size on this. That's what I use in all my machines, unless otherwise stated for anything else. I use a 9014 90% of the time. The only machine that I change needle sizes, well, machines plural, is sometimes on my long arm and sometimes on my embroidery machine. Because some projects call for a different size.
What stitch length do you use?
My stitch length is a 2.5. All right, coming to where I started. Normally I pull away, but today I'm just cutting. So project number 2 looks exactly like project number 1. Let's see, did the dots? Oh, the dots did fall all the way around on the edge here too. That's cool. I like it. Did the back line? Ooh, look at this. The stripes almost landed too. Look. They almost landed equal. Did they on this one?
So they can see the backing that I chose.
No, this one. Oh, some areas lined up, some did not.
Oh yeah.
This side did though. Look at that right here. These all lined up perfectly. Until it gets to right here, then it moves over. That's funny. All right, 2 down, 4 more to go, or 5 more to go. Yeah, 5 more to go. Huh? I guess these. Okay, yeah. Scotty has to change out a cord real quick. Did it charge enough?
Oh. It doesn't show.
Oh.
Maybe if I unplug it, it'll show. No, it doesn't show battery. So I don't know.
All right. He is going to bring the camera around. I wonder if this white's going to look good on here.
If the cord
on off-white. Oh, yeah, it looks perfectly fine on off-white.
You have this cord really raveled. Really.
Let me move these out of the way. Because they are on the floor. All right, camera is moving.
59%.
Okay. Okay. Camera is still moving. Still moving. As long as it's not in my elbow space.
Is it in your elbow space here?
Nope.
Is that good?
Yep. Wherever you could see the camera. I can't see where you have it set up, so because I turned my device off. All right. Start with adding a tag. Literally, just going to put it right here. I'm going to stitch it on. No, it goes really high. I don't know why you're still messing with it, though.
Because it's straight on there.
Oh. Is the light too bright? Do I need to put a cover on it?
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Okay. All right.
Now I bet they can see.
All right, guys. So we're going to attach tag first. Right here. And then I'm going to do the same on this one real quick. Let me find which the top and bottom is, because this one has a top and a bottom. I'm literally going to put it right here on the bottom corner on this one. About right there.
How come you don't need a walking foot one binder?
I don't use a walking foot when binding because I don't want to deal with the thickness of the stupid foot. I don't like the walking foot at all. The Juki made the most dumbest walking foot ever. Literally. I do not like the Juki walking foot. That's my own personal opinion. It is bulky and annoying. And it sounds like a machine gun.
Yes, it's an AK-47.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to put my binding along this edge right here. I'm going to leave a tail, so a long enough tail so that I can combine the two. I'm literally going to put it right here. It's lined up with the edge. This is the raw edge of the fabric, as you can see. This is the raw edge against the raw edge of the quilt. And then I'm going to come to about a 1/4 inch before the end. And sometimes I have to check and look, turn the whole entire thing, and I'm going to sew off the corner. I know my little foot is in the way, so here you can see I literally sewed off that corner sideways. Then I just go here to my right, straighten it. I put my fingernail right here, fold it over. Oops, gotta do that again. Fold it over like this. Hold it. Keep this straight right here, and then stick it under the foot. So that fold is along the edge right here at the top, and I literally just start sewing again.
What size strips do you cut for binding?
This is a 2.5 inch strip for binding. So down to about 1/4 inch again, right there. I'm really good of a judge on that. Sew off the corner. Lift it, fold it, hold it. Put it under, and then make sure that I have enough binding in my lap to speed across this. So my whole hand is under here, the middle finger. Then my first finger is on top, first finger, thumb, and I'm holding away from the edge. So I'm off this table, and I just align it as I go. And I can literally just straight sew all the way off. Having the guide stops me from going all wonky. Oh, 1 stitch back. Sometimes I stitch over accidentally, but that's only because I feel like I'm in a hurry 90% of the time. I think it's an ADD thing. If I didn't do it fast, I probably wouldn't do it at all. Oops, went way too far on that. And even though I did, all I have to do is take my seam ripper and get rid of those 2 extra stitches because I went 2 stitches too far. Actually, 1 stitch too far. There we go. It's not in my way. Because sometimes it'll try to fold it like square if you go too far. And you don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to come to right here, back stitch. I still have the selvage on here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Nice and straight on the edge, but I'm going to still use this little piece as my size. So I know that this is how long it needs to be. I'm going to put this top part over it, just like this. And I could see where I am. I'm literally going to go between this top one and the second one. Put my snip scissors in there, snippy scissors, and cut a straight line along that. The rest of that goes to the next quilt. If I can get it to stay up here. It's trying to fall. Move my seam guide out of the way. Change my stitch length back down to a 2 because I don't want my connector to fall apart. I definitely don't want that to be a wide stitch. So here's the top one. Open it. Lay it to the side like this. Here's your bottom one. Crunch all this up. The bottom one's still this way. Keep it that way. Open it this way. So they're right sides together.
Are you afraid the quilting police will arrest you for speeding?
No, the quilting police will never arrest me because they can't catch up with me
That's a funny one.
at all whatsoever. I'm sewing. I'm using the seam guide on my seam tape on my machine to sew from that top corner to this one. And if you want to make sure you have it right, open it real quick and go, oh yeah, that's perfect. Once you know that you got it correct, cut away a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I just use scissors. I kind of been doing this for a long time. For a while, I started using a ruler and I was like, yeah, it's still much easier with the scissors. So I just do it with the scissors. And due to the fact this is white fabric, I'm actually opening the seam. It's an off-white, same thing though. And the seam allowance all to one side is a lot more visible than it is split. But I definitely don't like to see the seam allowance. But because I'm using white, which is not a color I normally use for binding, but these are little projects, so I find it's okay for the little projects. All right, that one's on there. We're gonna flip it around and we're literally gonna pull this to the front like this. So we're gonna hold it to the front and I'm gonna start stitching right here. Take a back stitch and I use my finger to push all these loose threads. My fingernail's pushing these threads along the seam edge. That way they're not like sticking out. And I hold it with my fingers and I release my fingers as I go. So I tuck it in, hold my fingers. Here's my corner. Is this in the camera because of the way you adjusted it? Every now and then this stupid...
Behind, I can't tell.
Oh. You can't see this right here in this area?
The camera is behind it. I'm behind it. I don't know. You didn't get there yet. Yeah, I can see.
Okay. So I folded this up. I kind of just creased this a little bit using my fingernail and then oops, fold it back over. And I should get a perfect 45-degree miter right here. Tuck all those loose threads in. So I'm going to stitch down, moving my fingers out of the way as I stitch. I'm going to come to that corner of that miter, in one stitch, out one stitch. Pivot, holding this flat. This is so easy, and then just come straight down. This one's such a small project anyway, it's really easy to keep it aligned. So fold it up, use my finger to push it over. You can use a stiletto if you don't trust your fingers. I don't bother with that because I trust myself to move my fingers. Even when I have the shakes. But your finger keeps it held down, so it's acting as a pin or a clip or whatever. Fold up my end. Fold it over. Oops, let's get rid of those two tails again. Sometimes the end tails from attaching are in my way.
What does in one stitch and out one stitch?
Oh, what does it mean? It means I'm taking one stitch from here, right here at this seam right here that I've created at this fold. I take one stitch, we're going to use this as a pointer, into this bottom piece, and then one stitch back into here, like back stitching, and then one stitch back into this piece. So I'm going from here to here, here, back to here, and then pivot. That way it's double holding this corner down. If I just went in and over, I have more chance of this to lift up. We don't want that to lift up, so we want to keep it down. So I always back stitch right there with a stitch in and out, in and out. It keeps it nice and secure because when you hand stitch these, you can hand stitch this closed. I don't hand stitch, I do machine, and I don't want that to open up or shift either. So I just come right to it, in one stitch, out, in, then pivot. That way it's back stitched. I think it helps.
Will this method work if you start on the front? And
yep, you can do the same exact thing on the back. But just remember you'll have your line on the back, so you would want to stitch in the ditch from the front, which is probably a better option. Which I'll show you a quilt in a second when Scott puts the camera back after you've watched this. I'll show you a quilt where I stitched a 2 1/4 inch binding to the front first and then wrapped it around to the back and then stitched in the ditch from the front blindly.
Do you ever sew the fold down toward the corner?
So the fold down to the corner, no, I don't think so. No, I like it to look clean, so I just leave it like this. So I'm trying to work in what's going to be a pucker right there. So I kind of gave a little bit of pull here and a little bit of pull back here to suck this pucker in right here. You can see it tried to pucker, but now it looks a lot flatter. And if I press it with an iron, it will be super flat. But it tried to pucker on me because sometimes it does that. All right, so there's that. So that's what it looks like to the front, and you always have a stitch line on the back side if you do it like that. So there's a stitch that's going all the way around about 1/8 of an inch from that. If you were to do 2 1/4 inch binding, stitch it to the back or to the front first. Here's my little example. You stitch it to the front first and then wrap it to the back. You'll have this big lip left because you're stitching in the ditch from the front side blindly. So you'll have a nice lip on the back, but you don't have a line on the front because you can use a matching color and you just stay in that ditch all the way around. And sometimes it goes so good into the ditch that it's buried when it folds itself, because that's what, the binding will do. So like right here, you can't even see any stitching, like whatsoever. It's literally missing. Like there's nothing there.
You haven't shown them that yet.
Yeah.
Shown that as a whole.
Yeah, I will show them that as a whole in a minute. Right now, let's finish more of these. So here's this one done. Next. Now for the wall hanging. I already put my tag on it. So now I just need to put this here back to 1/4 of an inch. We're going to put this here. We're going to see where these seams are landing. And so far, that's not going to be in a corner, which is a good thing. Start about leaving my tail. I have a nice tail. And I don't pull or tug either. I'm letting the fabric pull through my fingers from the machine itself. The machine is pulling the fabric, not me. There. Off the edge. Pivot. Come right 1/4 inch before the corner, stitch off the edge. I used to stop 1/4 inch before, and I still do on show quilts. I think I'm out of binding. Yep, I'm out of bobbin.
After the first corner does not have a seam, or what if one of the other corners gets the seam? How do you handle it?
I just sew the seam in there. Typically on large quilts, though, if you don't have one seam landing in the corner, most times you won't have any seams landing in the corner. If you put your seam near a corner, then it's highly likely that your next seam will land in a corner. And then there are those few times to the rule where it does land in the corner, and that's because you stitched, your pieces are stitched too close, like you used fat quarter strips to make your binding or something like that. So there's some exceptions to the rule, or if your fabric wasn't, 43 inches or whatever, or your quilt top was a random oddball size, then you would end up with a seam in the corner. And when that happens, I just stitch it in the corner. I just be very careful with it, that's all.
Do you tack down your tag flap later, or just let it be?
I just let it be. The tag just hangs there. It's a flap. But it can be tacked down, but I don't see no need for it. This is a wall hanging, so it'll be flush against the wall. I don't usually put those kind of tags on anything but table runners and wall hangings and very little quilts, like baby quilts and stuff. See, here's a seam that's almost in the corner, literally on the edge of being at the corner. So there's a corner of it here, so it's not really going to be bothersome, but if the whole thing landed in the corner, then it would be bothersome. So I'm just going to treat it the same as I do any other corner. I'm just going to lift it up. You can see the seam is right here. I'm just going to treat it the same as any other. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. I'm just going to cut some of this away because I made it too long. We're going to use this as the, ooh, and that's not straight. Let's make that straight. Nice and flush. Lay this on here. Lay that over it. And put my snips in between and make the cut. And then I have to straighten that cut because it's also crooked. Wow, it's a crooked kind of day. That's 3 pieces now that I've cut crooked. 3 different things. All right, so I have a lot left over on this one, but I over measured for this one because I was not 100% sure because these are small projects. So I'm putting that right side up, literally just opening it and laying it here. And then this one, lift it up to it, open it, and lay it on top. We're going to change that stitch length real quick. And sew from that top corner down to this bottom corner. I'm just going to make sure that this quilt, I just hold it up here. I don't really, some people clip it or pin it or whatever. I just hold it.
Starting in a 1/4 inch when you turn the corner?
No, I do not start in a 1/4 inch when I turn the corner. I come in from the edge. Again, I'm going to press this one open. All right. Reline that back up. I always come in about 1 inch before I ended. And go about 1 inch after I've started. Now flip it and sew it on here. And I just tuck the threads in as I go, unless they're the kind that don't want to tuck. You You could also take your serger out and before you put binding on, serge the edges. That'll prevent all this fraying. If you have a serger.
Have you ever put binding on the long arm?
I have put binding on the long arm, and I haven't had a project that was ready for that, for me to even film how to do that for you guys. I tend to do binding last. This is that corner with the seam. Literally landed along right here. It's like next to it. So I'm just being very careful. There we go. Really got a lot of shredding on this fabric. On this little top. And I always stitch 1/8 of an inch from the folded edge, by the way, if you guys hadn't asked that one already either. And that's all by eyeball. They also make a compensating presser foot that has one side has like a lip on it. I have it, I just don't use it. But I show you in my binding video. I'm not going to grab it out now, but if you watch my binding video, I show it in that. Some fabrics do fray more than others.
Spread.
Do what? Spread? Oh, yeah. I don't know. They all do about the same thing. All fabrics are equal in that way, I guess. The silkier ones don't. They kind of get stuck more. There are some silkier cottons out there.
You try to sew where the back stitch lands in a ditch?
No. I could if I wanted to. That's where the compensating foot would help with that. But no, I don't care if it lands in the ditch. The back is the back. We're looking at the front, which is the beautiful part. The back is whatever. Unless you made a two-sided quilt, which I've done that before too.
Oh, she meant to the shred, not spread.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking was shred.
Okay.
Yeah. Some fabrics really shred and some do not. But you know what? I get shredding from all sorts of fabrics. If you want to prevent a little bit more of it, starch your fabric first. I don't starch nothing. But if you starch it and turn it into like paper, then you definitely won't have as much shred as when you don't and just do what I'm doing and sew.
Do you have a pattern for this table runner?
I do not have a pattern for this. I just made this up with leftovers. All right, I'm coming up to where the tag is. I'm making sure that it's staying down and flat. Huh? I am using a Juki TL 2010Q. And Scott put a link in for it. If you have any questions about it, I'm pretty sure the website has them. Answers for it. Okay. Final side. Okay, coming right on top of my starting stitch. And this is what I usually do. Needle up, pull away, snip the top, and snip the bottom. But that's my normal thing. But when I'm in a hurry, I kind of just use the thread cutter. So here's another one done. This is what that corner looks like with a seam in the corner. You can see that seam is right there in that corner, but not a lot of it. All right, that project is now done. Now we need to switch threads so you can put the front camera back.
What kind of thread do you use?
I'm using all sorts of different brands of thread today, from Signature to I don't know what that one is. Coat, Signature, and Essentials, and yeah. I'm using all different ones because of the colors are different. All right, we're going to switch out to black thread now for this next one.
Am I putting the camera back over here?
Yes, please. Because they're not going to see anything with the black thread on black fabric at all. Camera is moving. Okay.
Is your seam allowance the same on the back and the front?
Yep. No, the seam allowance on the back is what it lands at. So it's more than a 1/4 inch.
What is your seam allowance?
My seam allowance when I sew the binding on is a 1/4 inch. When I
So on the back, it's
on the back
right.
when you flip it, it's I don't even know where that line lands. That's like 3/8 of a seam. From the edge of the quilt, it's a 1/2 inch seam. So yeah, it's a lot bigger. All right, let's put some black in the bobbin. Okay, let's put these clips on here. Let's move these empty ones out of the way. Put the black bobbin in here. That way I have black on top and in the bobbin. Because the back of this one is also black fabric, so. All right, then this one gets this tag. Each quilt has a different tag because I didn't want to put a white tag on black fabric. This could either be a table runner or a wall hanging. So I'm just going to put it on here wherever, wherever it goes. Okay. Now, let's hope I cut enough binding for this one, because this one, I don't remember how big it was. This was an odd size runner or tabletop or whatever you want to call it. Wall hanging, anything. And that's what I forgot. See, someone had asked me why when I auction off or sell my wall hangings or any of that, why I don't put hanging hooks or sleeves on all of that. And the reason is I don't know how the people that purchase them are going to hang them. If they're renters, a lot of renters don't allow you to put holes in your walls. So you have to put little sticky tabs on the back of your quilts to hang them. Some people will put a sleeve on it themselves or sew really carefully up at the top a little ribbon to hang it up on, like how I have mine, the sticky with the dowel across the wall. I mean, it all depends on the person and how they want to hang it. So that's why I have not been adding hanging things, but some projects do get hanging things and some don't. And I totally just forgot them with that one. I was ahead of myself today. I meant to grab the ribbon to do it because I was just going to put ribbon on it.
Okay, you should have told me ahead of time. I didn't mind.
Yeah. If I would have told Scott, he would have reminded me, but I totally spaced it. And that's okay. Like I said, it all depends. No.
Okay, so I don't have to remind you no more.
No. It all depends on what the person wants to use the project for. They could use it as, anything they want. It's all on them. Even the ones that I give away usually don't have anything on it because I don't know what you're going to use it for. Some people do the clothesline thing like we have right here. It's just a, what is that called, Scotty? The
Binder twine?
binder's twine from one side to the other, and you use clothespins to hang it up. I don't know what you're doing. So I just leave it up to the person. Lost my foot again. You know, this is going to be like the 15,000th time I've said, you know what? I need the hot glue gun to hot glue gun my pedal to the floor. Just so that it'll stay. Keeps running away from me. Not really hot glue gunning it to the floor. I was going to hot glue gun it to the pad, which is on the floor. That way it can come off easily if I don't want it on there later. But it's like a rubber grip. Oh yeah, that was plenty of binding. Okay. I thought I was going to have that. It's one of those hoping things because I don't measure. I just, I don't go by charts and measure my binding. I just go by what I think I need 90% of the time. Up, over. Oh yeah, I left a really long tail right there. Let's just come right there. Okay. And that's okay if I have scraps because I stick them in my scrap bin. Let's make sure that one's straight. And it is. This, this. Lay this flat. You can even fold it to the edge like this and hope that you get a nice straight cut that way.
There you go. This person uses a brick to keep the quilt pedal in place.
A brick. Oh, well, that
Brick.
works.
Yep.
You know, I have those rubber weights. I could use a rubber weight in front of it. But then I think it would get in the way for me because of my foot. I use my foot hanging over it, not directly at the front of it, I guess is the word. So for me, a weight or a brick would get in the way. Make sure. Okay, good. And since this is black, it's hard to see my stitching. It also doesn't matter which way I press the seam, just one side or the other. All right. know, I'm throwing things are flying, you know, it's just one of those days. Can't keep anything next to me, in front of me, around me, near me. Oh, okay, it did. Whew. I probably need glasses for this one because I can barely see where I've been and where I'm going with black thread on black fabric. So this will maximize the size of everything that I'm working with. Oh, and because I wanted to like have more yellow, because this little runner is a lot of pink, you know, but it has yellow in it. I actually used lemon ice thread on this, on the front and on the back, so it like really shows the quilting. And because it's like a fake Bargello style, I went with like a wavy back and forth thing because I thought that would look perfect. Everyone always asks, like, why do I quilt what I quilt? Well, that's why, because, you know, I chose a really different thread color than what is mainly of the fabric. So it definitely doesn't blend. It sticks out. And the design was chosen because it kind of creates this, like, wavy look. And it's not straight, so none of my lines are straight. I like the stitching. And that was like out of bobbin or something. But it was a full, almost full bobbin, so it shouldn't be out. Wow, this black really frames it nicely. Black and pink look amazing together. I wear black and pink a lot. My favorite color is purple, but I look better in pink than purple. It's kind of funny. Put the glasses on so I could see, and I still can't see. Huh?
Eric said you look like Alexa with glasses.
Or Alexa looks like me when I wear glasses.
Okay, either way. The girls both look like you.
Yeah, both the girls look like me. Damon looks like me when I'm near him, but when he's not near me, he looks exactly like his dad. And Cyrus looked like a blend of his dad and me. So they all like have their look, but the kids, the three oldest, they all look exactly like they could have been triplets when they were babies. especially Damon and Alexa. Those two, I confused for each other for many, many times when they were older and had the same haircuts when they were like 4 and 5 years old. All right, another one down. I love how I love this with the black. The black looks really good on this one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for the last of the projects, which are the big ones. So let's do the maroon one first, because it's the smaller of the two.
Is there a certain weight of thread you use on the long arm?
On the long arm, I use 40 weight. Always use 40 weight
And
on the long arm.
Do you use the same thread in the bobbin?
I use the same thread usually in the bottom as the top. It's really hard. Like, not all long arms are created equal. So I could have the tension looking amazing and have a different color bobbin as the top. But as I'm quilting, it'll adjust itself. And then you can see the tension get bad. And I don't always pay attention to underneath the quilt. So what I do is use the same color on the bottom in the bobbin as I do on the top. All right, let's put this.
And your machine only likes glide.
And my machine loves glide. Like, I could use other stuff in there, but I really have to screw with the machine to put any other, kind of brand of thread in there. So I mainly use glide, like 100% of the time.
Do you use 40 weight when quilting on your domestic?
I use whatever, when I quilt right here, I use whatever's available. So these are 50 weight threads. This doesn't say. I'm pretty sure that's a 40 weight. This is a 50 weight. This doesn't say, but it's signature, so it's probably 40 weight. I mean, it all depends on the quilt. All right. We are done with black. I'm just going to go ahead and put that away. We don't need it. We're going to put this one on here. And I did roll a bobbin, so I already have a bobbin ready. It should last the whole quilt because it's not a huge quilt. It's lap size, so it's definitely, got size to it, is the word. It's definitely big enough to cuddle with. Huh? All right, I'm done with this thread. Let's take that clip off, put it on this one, throw that over there. All right, let's grab the quilt. Goes over there. Alrighty. This one might be directional because I think I put all that fabric with the jars on it all facing down. So this would be the bottom corner right here.
When you buy a Juki like yours, do you have to use the tall thingy to thread the machine? And what is it called?
This is built on the machine. This is what's on the machine. You have to use that. That is the thread guide. So you have to have it up here because if you had it way down here like this, it sits in the spools and it won't work that way. It is meant for tall spools to come up and have a good guide to your first threader part. So it is an absolute necessity to have that. And if you don't, you will have problems with your stitching. It is part of the machine.
How often do you change your needle?
I change my needle whenever I change my needle. I'm not specific on changing it. I'm really lazy with that. So as you can tell, I've done all these little projects now, 5 little ones, and working on a big one, and I'm still on the same needle. It's still stitching, it's still sharp, and it's not creating big, huge, ungodly sized holes in my project. So it's good. All right. I'm going to stick that there. We're going to put this tag on the corner real quick. If you want to, there's one thing right there. For another time. All right. Open it up. No. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
Do you use titanium needles?
Yeah, these are the titanium ones. That's another reason why I don't change it very often. All righty. So my bottom corner tag is on. Yes, it has a flap. I always leave the flap, but no big deal. You can put your foot in there if you need to keep it warm. I don't know what you want to do with it. At one point in time, I did put a couple tack stitches. I used to put like 3 tack stitches to hold it, but then you wouldn't have a pocket to put your money in, right? You got to hide that secret stash somewhere. Husbands, stop listening. All right, let's open this up and attach some binding. Ugh.
Sometimes my machine wants to act up over intersections. Is it the needle?
Act up over intersections. It's just trying to go over the bulk, so maybe your intersections are too bulky. Maybe you should press them out more or start your fabrics or something. All right, I'm going to find that first seam, which is right there. Go about that high up. Come on. Oi, oi, oi. Let's just do it my normal way. Right here. Keep some on the table. There we go.
How wide is the binding?
The binding is 2.5 inches. One, two. There we go. So I do the same thing with the big quilts that I do with the little quilts. It's all exactly the same.
You have different lighting on this machine, or is it factory lighting?
This is factory lighting. I don't no, what I can open this up and take this. I just put like a little sticky note in here over the light like that. So that way it dulls it for camera purposes. But for me purposes, since you're far away, it's actually easier for me to see oops, with it off of there. I just leave it in there though. Put my binding over here. Put the quilt on my lap, or as best as possible on my lap. Most of it I want on the table to hold it up though, because it will kind of try to fall on me. feel like I'm getting so much done today. Next corner onto my lap. The rest of the quilt can stay on the table.
Have you ever been gifted an antique quilt top and finished it?
Yeah, I've purchased antique quilt top and finished it. Tops, plural. Scott's mom has one of them that I did, that I purchased from a garage sale. And I had to take the whole thing apart and put it back together again because it was all messed up. Like really messed up. And it was old. So that's why Scott's mom has it, because it's vintage and she takes better care of it than, you know. It's always on display on the bed. And I've done antique vintage tops for clients as well. And I have a video on doing vintage tops and how to care for it as you're, you know, doing it on the long arm. I actually have, I think I have 2 vintage tops left. One's in the fabric room. I actually just came across it when I was organizing and rearranging furniture in there. I have to take the, there's a border on it that's a ruffled border. I have to take that off because I can't long arm quilt a ruffled border. So I'm going to take it off and put it on as a regular border to make the quilt bigger. And since it's ruffled, I should have plenty of fabric. It's for one of those, they probably meant, and it's a silky fabric too, mixed. It's like curtains probably that were used. I don't know. It's really, really old. Some of it was falling apart. So it's where you take when you sandwich your quilt top and you do the batting on the bottom and then you do your backing fabric and then you put your quilt top on the front, right sides together with your backing fabric. The ruffle goes on the inside of that and then you stitch all the way around, leaving your opening. And then when you put it right side out, you'll have your bed skirt built on to your quilt. But I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to rip that off and put it on as a regular border to increase its size.
Is your mom still sewing?
Is who?
Your mom?
I think my mom still sews when she wants to. I wouldn't see why she wouldn't.
You know what size this quilt is?
This quilt is, I don't remember. Paper is right here, 62. 62 by 66. That's what this one is. All right, last side. I really enjoy doing this because I know that this is the last step and the quilt is literally done after this and can be used and loved and cuddled and all those things that quilts are for. All right, should I stop soon? Getting close, right about there. Okay. Gonna bring this up to here. I'm gonna cut the selvage off, but I'm gonna keep it next to me and use it as my guide. So this is nice and smooth. Just going to open it and lay it next to it. And if my piece is too small, then I can just go ahead and grab a ruler and lay it on top. But this seems to be good. I'm going to fold it. Oh, I made one extra strip than I actually needed. Look at that. Cut it. Throw that over there. Throw that in the trash. Hook the two together. Come on. Cut this away because I already know that it's the right direction and everything is good. And yes, I throw all my little cutoffs under the desk because I'm still making hourglass blocks out of all of my binding cutoffs and or 2.5-inch square cutoffs from half square triangles.
Put a cotton border on a t-shirt.
Can you what?
Put a cotton border on a t-shirt quilt.
You could put whatever you want on a t-shirt quilt. Just make sure that it's the same. I would put it as the same thickness. So sometimes on t-shirt quilts, my sashing, it has interfacing on it too. Just so that it's the same thickness throughout the whole entire thing. So you could put some interfacing. I mean, that's a lot of interfacing to go through, but you could put interfacing on your border, but you could just put it on plain too if you want. I mean, it's no big deal. It doesn't ruin anything. It's just all the same thickness. So it's easier when you're quilting it because sometimes, like me, since I long arm quilt for people, t-shirt quilts, if I'm going from a t-shirt interfaced fabric, which is thick, plus that interfacing is thick, once I go from that and then I go to a sashing that's, say, nothing behind it, then my tension drops because it's a lesser amount of fabric. So you have a thicker amount and a lesser amount. So you're going from thick to less again, back to thick again. So you can hear it on the machine and you can see the difference in the stitching when it's being stitched. So you can always add interfacing to make it all equal. All right, let's put this on. Front. Huh? Oh, I don't know how long. Why is it still going? Oh, I think I put it for 100 minutes. In 7 minutes? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, give me it. Let me get this on here and we call it. It shouldn't take me long. It's not exactly the same color, but it reads the same color from afar. So that's why I chose this to be the binding.
It looks pretty close to me.
It does, but it doesn't at the same time to me. Oops, let's get rid of that dumb piece of thread right there. I don't know why I keep using those, because this is literally right here next to me. One and one. There we go. What?
This looks larger than a lap quilt.
It's a lap quilt. Like I said, it's 62, 66. 62 by 66. It looks larger, but it really isn't. It's about the size of what's hanging behind me, I think. Somewhere. around that. The big one, not the little one. That's for the giveaway, I mean.
Is this quilt a big box?
Is this quilt a what?
Big box pattern?
Nope, this is 90% of what I do is me making things up on my own. So this I made up on a Sew Sunday a couple weeks back. More like, I think it was before I went to Virginia when I did this one. Yeah.
You have lighting under the arm of your machine?
I do not have lighting under the arm of my machine. If it was there, it would probably blind me too much. Too much lighting, I can't see then. Everything becomes blurrier. I'm peripherally blind, which some of you know, some of you don't because you're new to my channel, but I'm peripherally blind, so the more lights, actually the more things that are distorted or blurred out in my own frontal vision that I have left. So I try not to have too many lights. So like when I long arm quilt, I don't use a ton of lights. I use either an overhead and what's on the machine, or sometimes just what's on the machine, because then I can't see the thread or anything because it gets too blurred out in my frontal vision. So I work with what's built on the machine. That's it. Don't need anything extra. I do have a throat light on my long arm, which helps a little bit. It's not too bright, so. But yeah, I don't need too much extra lighting. I don't even need the lighting that's behind the camera to face me to illuminate this room. I don't sew with that on during the day. I just use the above light only most times. I'm glad I named this what I named it, the jam quilt, because of the jam jars all over it. Which actually kind of sounds good. Orange marmalade or fig, sweet fig. That might be good. On toast.
I don't think I've ever had marmalade.
No? It's good. Marmalade is good.
Mitzi gave you $2.
Aw, thank you. What'd you say?
Mitzi.
Missy? Mitzi. Oops, one more stitch. Right there. Thank you. Come on, thread. Get under there. There you go. When the quilt starts falling on the floor, that's when this becomes a challenge. So I'm trying to pick it up as it's trying to like fall. And it starts yanking it, and then you start sewing crooked. If you don't have a big enough table, my suggestion is taking an ironing board and lifting it next to you to hold the weight of a quilt top. Because we all have ironing boards. Well, most of us do. Or like a little TV table, a TV tray or whatever it's called. That would be like the perfect height to stick next to you, so that way it's taking up the last of what your desk can't hold of your quilts. Come on. Go away, thread. You're annoying me. All right, last side. It's only halfway. All right, coming up where I started, I'm going to trim away that starting stitch, the hangover of it. I'm going to stitch right up to it, cross over it, about an inch worth, back stitch, and tool away, snippety snippety, and another quilt done. So here's this. Like I said, it's a lap size, so 62 by 66. You can see it's not very big. When it touches the floor, right now it's touching the floor, and my head still sticks out by like 2 inches.
You want me to hold up the end?
So it's the perfect size to cuddle. Just like this. See? And quilts get cuddled by me before they go bye-bye too. Yes. So, all right, let's check and see where this is and call a winner.
Call a wiener.
Let's call a wiener.
Wiener, wiener, chicken wiener.
All right. Wait, that dark thing. All right. Now I got to find where that whole giveaway thing was again.
Did you end it?
No, I did not end it.
Have you ever made a cathedral window quilt?
I have not made a cathedral window. How did I find this last time? I found it somewhere right here.
Well, the thing's still running.
Is it still running?
Yeah,
Well,
people are still entering, so it's still running. It hasn't closed yet. Isn't it easier to find when it's running? Maybe not, I guess.
I don't remember how I found it last time.
I don't know either.
I do this every single time. It's still running.
Yeah, it's still running. Should you be able to click on it while it's running?
No,
Sorry.
no. I knew it was one of these buttons last time.
While you do that, I'll show them what they're going to win. Whoever the winner is, I will pull it down and show it to them.
Profiles.
They can see.
Man, this is why I hate computers, because I, for the life of me, forget right away. Cloud pot. Where is the giveaway? Where does it sit?
Well, Heather, give money to us.
Thank you, Heather. That was mighty kind of you. That's what the giveaway is for. Is Eric still here?
He was.
I
don't know. I haven't seen him talk, but he was.
Aha, I found it. Okay. Here we go. All right, we're going to close entries. I figured it out anyway, so I didn't need to ask him.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Eric, you're too late then.
We are going to pick a winner for that, and the winner is Nita Schmuck. Nita Schmuck, you are the winner. Please email me at tiffanysquiltinglife@yahoo.com. Tiffany's Quilting Life, all one word. No apostrophe between Y and S, though. Just tiffanysquiltinglife@yahoo.com. Email me and let us know your address so we can get this off into the mail. All right. Well, that is it. That is all we have. All right. I'll show you guys that little project real quick that I did while I'm still here. And I have one quilt left to bind, but I didn't want to go over 2 hours. So that last and final quilt will just have to wait till tomorrow. All right. I will be on tomorrow, though, Scott said, for mail opening. Here is my newest show quilt. So this will be a show quilt. This is called The Test. So if you guys know, some people don't because it's, you know, before 1960s, they used it most, but they don't really use it much anymore. It's called the Rorschach test. And it was those black ink blobs. That's what it looked like when I was cutting these pieces out. It looked like the black ink blobs. Now, if I would have done it in black, it would have even been better. But technically, this is a go on Hawaiian quilting, Hawaiian blocks. Anyways, so it's called The Test, though, and this is what it says. You are insightful, intelligent, and able to see what others cannot. Be your own eyes. Be your own beautiful. Live your life to the fullest. Tiffany Groff, 2024. Because it reminds me of that test. And what do you see? You're a quilter. What do you see? Well, I see all things quilty. So I don't know how psychologically crazy I am from that test, but everything's quilting. I see a quilt block here and a quilt block here and a quilt block here with some thread there, all stitched together like a rainbow. You know, they're going to say I'm crazy. Any psychologist. I know. There's no wrong answer to that test, but
No, it's to see how your mind thinks.
Yes, it's to see how my mind thinks. Well, my mind thinks I'm a quilter, and obviously that's what I am. So that's my next little show quilt. This one I'm going to do my best to enter it into QuiltCon for 2025. So we'll see if it even gets accepted in. But yeah, it even has a hanging sleeve. It's all ready to go because it's my cool little, you know, wall hanging. And you guys all know me. I love rainbows, and I stitched that with the applique with the rainbow thread. I had so much fun with it.
Since you left them white instead of black, they do look as much like snowflakes.
Yeah.
The fans are commenting. They look more like snowflakes.
Well, either way, I could have done it in black. I could remake another one in black. But let me tell you, those pieces were so hard to cut out because you have to put the glue on it. Then you have to fold it a bazillion ways. And then you have to cut all the little pieces out. And I went through like a bazillion pairs of scissors because not each pair of scissors can cut those little tiny little areas. Ay, ay, ay. That was hard. It was a lot of work on my hands. So, yeah, but it was fun. All right. Any questions, anybody? Yeah, I could do a tutorial, but after doing that little project, my hands are killing me. So I'm going to have to give myself a couple months break of cutting out. But I could do a tutorial how to do it. And I do raw edge, not fold under. For some people like to clip the things and then fold them under. I saw the other lady that did it. She hand stitched it. It was not raw edge. I can't do it that way. So I don't know how else to do it any other way but raw edge. How do I know what to enter into QuiltCon? Well, that's as modern gets, right?
How do you know?
How do you know? Well, QuiltCon is modern stuff. It's more modern than anything else. So, yeah.
Did you do the mouse pad?
I did not make this. This was made and gifted to me. So, and I use it as a mouse pad because it's like the perfect mouse pad. Yeah. Any questions, anybody? No.
Two that I could see, it's going fast.
Yeah.
Almost 700 people here. By the time I start reading the questions off,
yeah.
like the first 2 words.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here 10 minutes early. Don't forget to the winner. Please email us to tiffanysquiltinglife@yahoo.com. Nita. And yeah, we'll get to that. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Happy Easter. I'm so glad you guys could hang out with me on today because I enjoyed hanging out with you guys today. And yeah, that's it. I got everything I needed done except for one quilt. I will do that tomorrow.
Oh, they're saying Martelli makes a non-slip foot pedal pad.
A non-slip foot pedal pad. Oh,
Yeah.
for the floor.
Yeah.
I'll have to look, but I think I'm just going to use the hot glue gun because I have one and lots of glue. It comes right off too if you want to peel it off.
Well,
so.
yeah, it'll come out.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, guys. Thank you. Have a lovely rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow for a mail opening. So bye. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye.